My name is Mary Catherine, and this is my daughter Grace, and she is a patient of Dr. Jennifer Schell. And our story is that many years ago, when Grace was 4, she was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And at the time, it was it's still an unusual diagnosis for a 4-year-old, for a child. And so we took her to, she ended up at U of M Ann Arbor with, no disrespect to Ann Arbor, a good group of doctors, but we weren't having any success. Her symptoms weren't going away. She was still having a lot of pain and bleeding and severe problems. And the recourse that the U of M doctors recommended was pretty serious drugs, large doses of the steroid prednisone and some maintenance drugs. And as time went on, we just felt that the prednisone was stunting her growth, and that was a big concern for us as parents. And on top of stunting her growth, we weren't seeing the success that we had hoped for. She still wasn't active as we would like, and she was still pretty sickly. So we kind of felt, we did feel up against a wall. We didn't know what else to do, what other doctor, we just felt like everything was more and more medicines on top of another one. And we were recommended at that time to Dr. Schell. And at our house, we say she's magic. Clearly there's science involved, and she's very skilled at what she does and educated. But literally, 24 hours after our first visit with Dr. Schell, our daughter was remarkably better, noticeably better. We noticed it. Her grandparents noticed it. And the best part about it was that she kept getting better and better and better without drugs, with some supplements and some visits and some basically changing her nutrition. And because of it, she's now a very healthy, happy 9-year-old, growing, and she's off the drugs. And we just have so much thanks for what Dr. Schell did, and we're so grateful. And we just could not say enough positive things about the experience that we've had here, because our daughter will grow, and she will not, even at U of M, they would say that she would lose her colon, and we'd have to have these terrible surgeries. And, here we are 5 years later, and she's happy, and she's healthy, and she's a 4th grader, and we just are so grateful, and we're huge believers. We couldn't, we advocate Dr. Schell and a more natural approach to anybody that we come across, whether it is an allergy or something as serious as, colitis, which our daughter has. But it's just a remarkable how you can bridge there's so much that can be done with the alternative medicines that people just think, oh, well, we'll put another medicine on top of another medicine. And, if you go to a more traditional, and that isn't always the solution. And it seems the more natural, the healthier everybody ends up. So we're just very thankful, and we would definitely recommend Dr. Schell.
Hi, I'm Sean.
And I'm Alex.
We had tried unsuccessfully for quite a few years to conceive a child. We had actually saw 3 different fertility doctors, all of which had just told us that it was unexplained infertility. They had tried everything with us. They had given me Lupron fertility shots. They had tried an intrauterine insemination. Nothing was working. We had pretty much given up hope, and a friend of mine had told me about Dr. Jantz. We decided to give it a try, and in August of 2007, we came to see Dr. Jantz. He had found that my adrenal glands were off, and that so was my thyroid, and they also found mercury in my husband's system. He had treated us for about a month, and we had to admit we both felt a lot better, like mentally and physically. And at that point, we'd even joked that even if we didn't have a child, at least we felt 100 times better than we did prior to coming here. Probably about 6 weeks after that, we found out that we were pregnant. And we're due in July of 2008. Dr. Jantz and his staff have been absolutely wonderful. They are just absolutely lifesavers.
Hello, my name is Nicole Kaska, and I'm 37 years old, and I'm a criminal defense attorney. And I've been coming to the Alternative Health Clinic since 2004, and I see Dr. Ross Wynn. I had been to other chiropractors for at least 10 years before that, with really no success as far as helping with the tension headaches, as well as my neck and shoulder issues, as well as the lower back pain. But it wasn't until I saw Dr. Wynn and he began really working with me not only with the chiropractic aspect, but also the nutritional healing. And it's been through that I've been really successful as far as tackling not only my headaches and my neck and shoulder problems, but also the sinus issues that I had been having and had been plagued. And actually, with the sinus issues, I'm no longer having to do allergy shots, which were just making me feel even worse. I'm on minimal medication. My ear, nose, and throat doctor is very pleased with my success, and I owe a lot of that to Dr. Wynn. But another great thing that he's been able to help me with, which is unfortunately a big enemy for many attorneys, is sleep issues. And through Dr. Wynn's evaluation with the nutritional healing, as well as the supplements, as well as some other alternatives to try with the sleep issues, he's been able to really help me at least get a balanced good night's sleep where I don't feel so drained of energy in the morning. I would never have gotten that with my other chiropractors that I had seen. And it wasn't until I came to alternative health care that I was able to get that type of care and not have the issues with the sleep that I had been having. I can say now that after seeing him for almost, well, a little over 4 years now, he's really helped my neck and shoulders where I carry a lot of tension, and they would always be tensed and just hurting, which would also in turn cause the headaches. I can say I don't get the tension headaches that I used to get. My sinus issues are very diminished. I don't have sinus infections like I used to have. At least I would get 5 a year, where it would just completely knock me out. Now I don't. Maybe one, if that, and usually they're very mild. So I have to say that alternative health care has been a godsend to me and has really been helpful, and I'm going to continue to come here because you never know what comes your way in life, and I tell you, with the way the world's going now, you know, you need to have a doctor that's trying to treat you but not pump you full of drugs, try to treat you in a natural way that your body needs. So I highly recommend it. Thank you.
My name is Carrie McChesney. I'm here to tell you a story of why I love alternative health. I had a tumor that actually would move. It would grow and get bigger. They would put it off, you know, because they weren't sure what to do with it. Actually had me see a plastic surgeon, and the tumor was actually wrapped around a vein in my leg. So when they removed it, they removed the vein also. I went in for surgery, and they cut me open and removed the tumor, the vein. Within like 2 weeks, it just did not feel right. It felt like something was crawling in my leg. And ended up going to another doctor, and they found out that I had a very bad staph infection that went to the bone. IV treatments for 8.5 months, 7 days a week. Nothing got better. Ended up with a big hole in my leg. Ended up at the U of M. The doctors just really had no idea what else to do for me. The U of M actually, at that point, gave me a 20% chance to either live through it or keep my leg. 4 skin grafts to close the hole. Through the infection, it destroyed my lymph nodes. My lymph system didn't work properly. Lymphedema, where I would swell beyond recognition. There was really no cure medically that they could do besides a pump that I'd put over my leg that would actually, like a blood pressure kind of thing, that would pump my lymph system to make it work. I had no trust for the medical field at all, none, because everything they tried, just nothing got better. Chose to come here after being highly recommended by many. Dr. Shell did a nutritional testing on me, found out that I actually had a parasite in my leg itself. Put me on some supplements. Chiropractically would help drain my lymph nodes. I have not used the pump now in probably a year. The supplements, I know I was on a lymph tone that actually helped drain my lymph nodes. Yeah, my skin, even though I had 4 skin grafts, my wound never fully closed. With the supplements, it was like amazing. Not even 3 months, it was fully closed. No pain. Suffer a little bit of dryness just because it's not normal skin, so I have to be careful with that. Within 3 months of seeing Dr. Shell, I felt 100% better. Not a problem with pain that I had for 3 years, no swelling, and all is wonderful.
Hi, I'm Molly, and this is my daughter Madeline, and I've been coming to alternative healthcare for over 20 years now. I started coming to help myself with my migraines back in college, and then when I had children, I entrusted their care to Dr. Jantz. When Maddie was a baby, he often told me that she was allergic to milk, and we would avoid things like milk, and as she grew, we still would let her eat food that contained milk, and she was sick a lot. So later, he would tell us that she was allergic to corn and wheat and other things, and I chose to believe it couldn't be true, and how could he know these things? So continued to not listen to Dr. Jantz, unfortunately. When Maddie was in first grade, she was diagnosed with a condition called eosinophilic esophagitis, and that is where cells grow on our esophagus so food can't get down, and that is due to food allergies. And it was all the food allergies that Dr. Jantz was telling us about originally. Maddie sees a gastrologist that gave her some blood tests to find out what kind of food allergies she had. The first time she had the blood test, again, it stated that she was allergic to milk, wheat, corn, soy, and eggs. So I went to the guy who knew it was wrong in the first place, and we did allergy clearings through Dr. Jantz, and we then had the test 6 months later after doing the allergy clearings with Dr. Jantz. I was not telling the gastrologist that I was seeing Dr. Jantz at that time, and he said, "That's strange. She's only allergic to milk and wheat now. You know, she can eat corn now. She can eat eggs now." And he literally said, "I've never seen anything like this." And when I told him, he, of course, did not want to hear anything about holistic medicine. So the conversation ended there, but it's true. We have blood proof of it, and it worked for us. And now she's a healthy 10-year-old girl who we still avoid milk and corn, but or milk and wheat, but it is not a huge deal for us anymore because there's a lot of foods that she can eat now because of the allergy clearing. She can eat corn-based foods, she can eat eggs, and all those other things. It's really changed our life. It was a lot of work and a huge commitment, but one we would never doubt for a second, and I encourage, please, 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 if you have any sort of food allergy or other allergy, I highly recommend the allergy clearings because it has completely changed our life. Right? Mm-hmm. She's like, mm-hmm.
My name is Sarah, and I'm 36 years old, and I'm a mother of 3, and I'm a high school history teacher, and I am very busy, and so it's been frustrating for me over the years to not feel well and not to always have my primary care doctor be as helpful as they might be to me. And my mom recommended that I come to alternative health care, and over the last 10 years, they've been helpful with lots of different things for me, but most recently, well, I guess in the last 8 years, I've been having problems with terrible sensations in my legs and nervy pains and weird feelings. And, you know, the neurologist has done every test under the sun for me, trying to figure out what the problem is, making sure that I don't have some neurological disease. And they concluded that I have restless leg syndrome, which is just this benign, irritating thing. And it's really frustrating, though, for people who have it. It's really difficult to sleep sometimes. And in really bad cases like mine, I actually feel it all throughout the day. And over the years, they've put me on a variety of prescriptions, which have, you know, not really done much for me except made me really tired. So it affects my legs, it affects my arms, and it's just very bothersome. And a couple months ago, I had the same feelings in my arms, but they were really, really bad. And, you know, it got me panicked that there was something wrong again. And the neurologist assured me that there really wasn't. And, you know, he couldn't really help me, though. And so I came back here and I saw Dr. Shell, and she discovered that I had a pinched nerve in my neck. And she was able to, through a couple of adjustments, make it feel much better. And in fact, I don't feel it anymore in my arms at all. And so that was amazing. It was really, you know, comforting for me to, you know, realize that it wasn't anything major. And then when I told her about the restless leg syndrome, which I don't know why I hadn't mentioned it before to them, she put me on a calcium magnesium supplement. And I'm just astounded that even in the 2 weeks that I've been taking it, that the symptoms have diminished so dramatically. It's not gone. I don't know if it'll ever be gone, but it's so much more comfortable now, and I'm just amazed that that can make a difference. It's been so frustrating over the years to have primary care doctors not really appreciate or understand chiropractic care and alternative health, and it's just frustrating to try to explain to them that it really does make a difference, and that I really don't want a prescription if I could try something else. And, you know, this last time that I went to them, they offered me antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills, and, you know, kind of it's all in your head, which was very frustrating. I don't want to take any additional prescriptions. So it's just amazing that being able to take some supplements and find out what it is that my body's lacking, that has really made such a big difference. So I am going to continue to come and see Dr. Shell and see where this goes and see whether or not it can continue to improve, because it's going to make a huge difference in my life if it does.
When I first started coming to alternative health care, I came in and I was miserable. I had so many symptoms that it seemed like when I told my medical doctor about it, he just didn't know what to do. And I had done blood work and tons of tests, and it kind of just came up with nothing. But I knew I wasn't crazy. So coming here, I've actually seen all of the doctors, and it's become kind of like a family to me. I came in getting bronchitis 4 times a year and pneumonia at least twice a year. And I also had precancerous cells on my cervix when I first started coming. Since I've come, I've had bronchitis not once, pneumonia not once, and I have had no reoccurring precancerous cells on my cervix. Other little things that have happened as a result of coming to alternative health care have been that I feel great and I have tons of energy. I've lost weight, my face has cleared up, and I feel like a 25-year-old again.
My name's John Werner. I'm 45 years old. I came to see Dr. Jantz about 4.5 years ago. Originally I came, here with chronic fatigue, overweight, sluggish. At that time, a few years prior to that, I had been diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, and I had been on Ritalin and many other types of antidepressants, looking for that miracle cure. Was with a psychiatrist that, would always give me the latest and greatest fix all. If one medication wasn't working, we'd get another one and go from there. First thing I walked through the door and told Dr. Jantz I was on those, he told me, "You're not going to be taking that stuff anymore. We're going to get you fixed up." And he proceeded to do his testing on me. I didn't know what it was all about. We came here on a recommendation from one of our friends that had come here with her children, who had had some good successes. They had a lot of allergies. So Dr. Jantz tested me. He put me on all these supplements, told me to come back in a week. And I didn't know what this all was all about. And so I kind of did what I was told, as we all do in the world by doctors, because we trust our doctors to, guide us in the right direction for better health. And I came back a week later, and we went through the same procedure, and new supplements, or continued on the ones that I had. As this process went on, we came to find out that I was allergic to a lot of foods, wheats, dairies, cell phones, the batteries was really draining a lot of my energy. So he told me to take the phone off, don't wear it on your body anymore. Asked me to stop, eating dairies, ice cream. And I already knew this, I was allergic to sugars. I craved carbs all the time. And that was my basic food diet, was carbs and sugars. And a lot of us get caught up in all the processed food that we're fed. And I'd had a little bit of experience with, eating naturally, but it's always hard to break a habit. And I'd do good for a while, and then I'd always fall back on my old ways. I'm in a real fast-paced business, and it's hard to, eat right. And you forget about eating, and then you're starving, and you grab whatever you can get your hands on, so you don't pass out. Little did I know, every time I did that, that was detrimental to my health. So we continued on for quite a while. We also found out I was allergic to humidity. Always bothered me. Would always drain me when it got hot and humid out. And we started one thing at a time. We cleared some of the wheats. We cleared the dairy. I still stay off of dairy today. Try to stay away from it, but it doesn't bother me as much. Somehow they cleared the humidity. That humidity doesn't bother me anymore as much as it used to. It doesn't drain my energy. Now, if anybody asks me about what Dr. Jantz does and how he does it, it's really hard to explain, because when he does the testing, he'll tell you things that are wrong with you and you haven't given him any information whatsoever. And I call him the voodoo doctor. because until you experience what he, you know, the whole gist of what he's doing, and find that you do have results out of what he's doing for you, you really can't explain it. But like I said, I've been coming here 4.5 years, and I do not go to any conventional doctors anymore. You know, just like the psychiatrist and any other medical doctor, they're there to give you the flavor of the day or whatever the drug companies are pushing that day, and they want to mask the symptoms. And I don't have a lot of symptoms anymore. And when I do have the symptoms, he treats, you know, the individual organs. And I feel a lot better than I used to. I eat a lot better. And, you know, when I don't eat right, he knows it. I mean, I can't get away with anything anymore, because he knows if I'm run down, he'll know if my pancreas is weak, you know, or my adrenal glands are wearing down, or but he can always tell what's going on now that we have this relationship, and he knows, you know, my body a little bit better. But he's done fantastic things for me, and I would recommend him to anybody. Right before this interview, my niece walked in, so she's here for her second time. She's having a lot of problems, and everybody I've ever recommended to Dr. Jantz, he's been able to help. So.
Okay, well, my name is Carrie Dixon, and this is Ian, and this is Shane. We've been coming here for a couple years and had quite a bit of success. Ian started out a couple years ago, chronic ear infections, sick all the time. His colds were coming back, you know, very often. Never could quite get rid of, you know, the bugs, it seemed like. So I had somebody suggest that we come and see the doctors over here at this alternative healthcare center. So we did, and it turned out that he was allergic to just about everything under the sun. It seemed like all kinds of allergies. And he told me about this NATE treatment that they do. He explained how it works and that, and, you know, I thought, well, we'll give it a shot. And he had his first NATE treatment. I think wheat was his biggest allergy, and that was the biggest one. He knocked that out and started just big improvements right off the bat. Ear infections were just about gone, and colds every now and then. We've been coming ever since. His allergies we're lessening them one at a time, getting rid of these allergies, and he's doing great. And so we see a huge difference in him.
Well, my name is Don Gordon. I'm 77 years old now. I started here when I was 76, and it's been 11 months since I came to Dr. Jantz. And I had just gotten to the point where there's got to be more to doctoring than a doctor's prescription pad, because I was getting too many side effects, too many tiredness, and I just felt like I wasn't with it most of the time. So I got a lot of issues, and Dr. Jantz has really addressed them. I got heart problems. I've had a heart attack and a bypass and a stent, and now the doctor says my heart is probably better than his. And adrenal glands that weren't working properly, and Dr. Jantz gave me some supplements for adrenal support. One of the reasons they weren't working is because I lost my gallbladder, and he addressed that issue. I had yeast, parasites, fungus, and those are pretty well cleaned up now. And then my ankles were swelling up, and I was taking the water pill. There's a lot of symptoms with a water pill. And I told Dr. Jantz about it, and I agreed to get off of the water pill and try one of his supplements called Kadir, K-D-I-R. and no side effects, and it worked. And he just took me off of it last week. We'll see how I do as far as the swelling up of the ankles. Also, I was probably drinking too much water, and he cut me down to about 48 ounces of water. He says a lot of people don't need their 62 or 64 ounces. Older people especially, they drink too much water, they got weak hearts, and it just builds up in their system. So then he put me on a metal detox because I don't know where I picked up all the mercury. I didn't work with mercury, although I played with it when I was a kid when you break a thermometer. And I was a printer. I worked with lead, and did have some lead in me, but that's gone. I'm having a hard time getting rid of the mercury, but we're working on it, and it is going down. My liver wasn't working properly. It was sluggish, so it gives me a liver support, and that seems to be working a lot better. And digestion, I had acid reflux for I don't know how many years, a good 3 to 4 years, and it was to the point where I was throwing up every night in the middle of the night because it just all had acid and everything, and I got tired of taking that Prilosec, as a little purple pill they called it, and there's a lot of symptoms with that. In fact, at one point, I asked my internal medicine doctor, how long are you supposed to take this acid medicine? And he said, well, how long have you been on it? And I said, oh, it's in my records, 2 to 3 years. He said, oh my gosh, we only leave people on it for about a year. Well, if you're having no problem with it, you can stay with it. And I said, well, I might not be having a problem with it right now, but maybe next month I will. So I decided I was going to go holistic, and I went and saw a holistic doctor, and I got off of it for a while, but I had to get back on it. Now, after I've coming to Dr. Jantz, I don't have to take it at all anymore. And I only have acid reflux now if I eat something that I shouldn't, or if I eat too late at night. I found that anything after 7 or 8 o'clock at night is too late to go with food on my stomach. It opened up a whole new world for me. Things that I've learned at the seminars that Dr. Jantz puts on. I recommend those seminars. Of the 11 months I've been coming here, I've only missed 2 or 3 of those seminars. I get something out of every seminar I go to, and it helps keep me focused. It's like the food sheet that the girls give you. Keep track of what you eat, and I don't have to do it anymore. But I find if I write down everything I eat during the day, it helps keep me focused. And if I do cheat, instead of having a 4-inch piece of pie, I'll only have a 2-inch piece of pie. Instead of 2 scoops of ice cream, I'll only have 1. But I try not to cheat at all. But you can't deprive yourself of all of the good things in life. You cheat once in a while just to feel good. And then the diarrhea. I had diarrhea 24/7 for at least a year to a year and a half, and it was really bad. And a lot of it was diet. Some of it was because I didn't have a gallbladder, and the adrenal glands weren't working properly. And he addressed those issues. Now I only get diarrhea about once a month, and usually it's because I ate something that I shouldn't have. He took me off, found out I was allergic to milk and dairy products especially, and corn, and there was a few other ones of foods that I don't normally eat. And if I stay within my ramifications, it's gone, which is a blessing, I'll tell you. And then I also have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I've had chemotherapy. It's in remission now, and my oncologist is not as open to the things that I'm doing holistically as my internal medicine doctor, but he says that he can't complain about success. and that's true. So, and then I went to internal medicine doctor yesterday, which was September the 5th, and Dr. Grosse saved my life in 1989 when I had my heart attack. And he told me, he says, you know, Don, you're the only patient that I have that as he gets older, his tests always come back better. The older you get, the better you're getting. And I was really pleased that he said something like that, because I really work at this. This is a lifelong project. And I don't expect Dr. Jantz to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, but he sure has done a great job for me. I feel better now than I did probably for 10 years. I don't have the energy or the stamina that I should have, but I compare myself to some of my friends that I retired with the same day that we retired. With all the issues that I have, I'm a lot better off than they are, because I do a whole lot more than most of them. And everybody tells me, you wouldn't know that you got all these issues. Well, I don't talk about them, for one thing. I don't think about the non-Hodgkin's. Very seldom do I ever think about it. And if I come across people that have problems with cancer and things like that, I try to lead them to the holistic approach on cancer. There's a Cantron meeting which deals with cancer, and they've had good success with Cantron. And there's a meeting out in Roseville, and I fully believe that if I'd have gone traditional with my non-Hodgkin's, I probably wouldn't have made it. I waited for 3 years before I had some chemotherapy, and I was fortunate. I went in for a heart catheterization, and the cardiologist found that my left kidney was not functioning. And I said to the cardiologist, I said, well, I probably have a lymph node pushing on my left kidney, and I'll address that in a few weeks when I go to the oncologist. And that's what it was. And but I learned a lot at these other meetings about eating and reading and different books and staying away from the sugar and the white flour and the white breads, and I pretty well did that. Pretty well had that down in my diet before I ever got here. But Dr. Jantz has done a great job for me, and my wife is pleased and thankful that we can do all the things that we're supposed to be doing at 77 years old. So, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my experiences with other people, and make sure that you come to the seminars, not just the first one to find out what he does, but continue to go to maybe half of them of the year, one every other month, because you'll pick up some information that you didn't know about. That might be just the key that you need to get better, a little bit better. So I guess that's about it.